Welcome to the Snohomish Storytellers. Here, in our little corner of the universe in Snohomish, we have a strong sense of community and heritage founded in the whispers of yesterday's stories and the narrative of what is being written today. Snohomish Storytellers captures this through organic conversation between Snohomies, former, present, and future.
This podcast is brought to you by the Historic Downtown Snohomish Association. Our mission is to promote, preserve, and improve the Downtown Historic District as the heart and soul of the city of Snohomish. My name is Megan Hetherington, Executive Director of HDSA, and my lovely co-host is
Sheila DeVerder, Board Member of HDSA. With us today is also our podcast producer and Vice President of HDSA, Trent DeVerder.
And welcome to our podcast.
Megan.
Sheila.
Welcome back after
you.
your vacation.
It was lovely.
I missed you.
I missed you too.
Oh,
I did.
yeah.
I didn't necessarily miss work,
Yeah.
but I missed you.
I tried really hard not to text you because I feel like if I talk to you, it would be HDSA adjacent. And I don't
It could
want
have
to
been, yeah.
accidentally remind you of something that is HDSA related on your vacation.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was trying really hard to not work, and I did minimally. Like I booked our guest for today during that time, but that's because I didn't have time to get it done before I left.
Yeah. We have Nancy
Keith from the Chamber.
Yes.
She's just a delight. I really love Nancy.
I do too. And she's always so stylish. She came
I
in with
know.
like
I loved her
red
pops of red.
glasses.
Yeah.
her bracelet. And I was like, every time I see her around town, it's always very just put together.
Yeah.
I think is how I would describe her.
She is in all things put
Yeah.
together.
Right? She put together things for the chamber.
Yeah.
many, many things for the chamber.
All the events, managing all the members,
Mm-hmm. The
all the
growth.
business development that they do, Kids
Yeah.
Vendor Day. We hear about all of those things during the podcast.
There are so many things. And the collaboration between the chamber and HDSA.
Yeah.
It's been really fun to see both you and Nancy work together as you kind of grow into both your positions around the same time.
Yeah, it's been great. There's been kind of like a parallel path for both of us, which there's like a lot of similarities, but
Mhm.
there's also differences because, you know, the chamber does different work than the HDSA does.
Yeah.
And then there's areas where we also cross over, and it's nice to have a partner where you can
Mm-hmm.
be like, okay, where do we not want to replicate,
Mhm.
duplicate efforts?
Yeah.
And actually just what are you really good at that
Mhm.
the chamber should be offering, and what
Yeah.
are the things that HDSA should, you know, focus in on and
Right.
refer people to the chamber for those business
Mhm.
development things
Yeah.
that are more like global, that can be used anywhere, not just in the downtown district, right?
Right.
So I really appreciate that about her too.
And the parallel in the role itself, right? Being an executive director of a nonprofit, which I feel like not too many people might have that experience. So you guys being able to do that in the same community seems like a really good buddy, a good peer to have
Yeah, it's great.
around here.
She's super supportive, and it's nice to bounce ideas off of each other and talk about different things that we, you know, have going on within our organizations
Yeah.
and how we troubleshoot things and
Yeah.
relationship building. And there's a lot of similarities.
Right.
So it's nice to be able to.
I mean, you guys used to share an office too. I
We
forgot
did,
about
which
that.
was so funny. We would never, like, I would see her there rarely. We were like ships passing in the night,
Yeah.
you know? So
But it's more in spirit that, you know, Nancy's desk is just right over there
Yes.
next to you
yes, we probably see each other more
on the streets.
on the street.
I mean, that
or
makes
just
sense.
like in meetings, or we both are there working on something together, or
Mhm.
at community events, or
Yeah.
I actually see her in the car a lot too, but she never sees me. She's always very focused.
Oh, yeah.
Which is good. You should focus on the
Yeah,
road
when you're driving, please focus
I'm
when
always
you're
like,
driving.
hey, and she's, you know, driving away.
Well, without further ado, here is our guest for today's chapter, Nancy Keith. So welcome to yet another chapter in our volume 3. So chapter 2, volume 3 of Snohomish Storytellers. We have a great partner of ours here in HDSA in the room today, and we're very excited to talk and chat with Nancy Keith, who is the executive director of the Snohomish Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Nancy.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad you were excited. We're very excited. Last night, Megan and I were talking about, you know, oh, what are we going to talk about? And we're like, oh, this is going to be easy. It's Nancy. We can talk for probably hours.
Yeah.
So
It wasn't a whole lot of prep work though, because we know so much about you already. that
Yeah.
we just need to know the right questions to ask so that you can share it with everybody else.
Awesome. Awesome.
But you'll probably still surprise us with some
Okay.
things.
Okay.
So we know you from the chamber, obviously, but tell us a little bit about how you came to Snohomish and how you came to be the executive director of the chamber.
Well, I'll give you the abridged version because we've been in Snohomish for about 21 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were living in Monroe and we actually thought we were moving back to California. So we put our house on the market and then that didn't work out. So then we needed to find a new home. So we decided to move to Snohomish, which was been a great decision. We love it here. When I decided to go back to work part-time when our youngest was just about finishing elementary school, I worked for the senior center, had a great experience there, ran their kitchen and their food program, ran their event rentals, and then their fundraising. Had worked with a great team there. While I was still working there, I purchased a business on First Street, Bebops and Lollipops. And so I owned that for about 3.5 years and had a business partner who was wonderful. And we did, in addition to children's retail, we did children's birthday parties and events.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a really great experience. And then after that, I sold that in 2015, took about a year off. And then I worked at People's Bank in Snohomish, which was really great. It's in the Fred Meyer, as you know. And so saw tons of people. It was a great experience working there and left there to go to California. There had been some wildfires. My husband's in construction. So his family is from Northern California. My family's from Northern California. So went down there to help people rebuild.
Oh, wow.
Kept our house here back and forth. So I got a lot of small business experience there, helping in the design and construction industry, helping people rebuild. And then COVID hit and this was considered essential. So we continued working. But California was pretty significantly shut down. And so I had come up here for the holidays, Thanksgiving, planning to stay through Christmas, working remotely. And then it just continued to be so shut down there that I just kind of started feeling like I wanted to be back here. So kind of went down back and forth in 21, in the first quarter of 21. And then just about decided I was going to be done. And I had gone back down there and I wanted to be back for St. Patrick's Day. I just, you know, if you know me, you know, I'm like into holidays and all that. So I just wanted to be home, wanted to do a St. Patrick's Day dinner with my family. Did that, came home, you know, for like, I'm officially home now. And we had that dinner. And then shortly thereafter, the next day or so, the job was posted.
Oh, wow.
With the chamber. And I'd been a chamber member when I had my business. And when I worked at the senior center, they were a chamber member. We hosted the CCC meeting at the senior center back then. This would have been 2010, 11, 12.
I didn't know that's been going on for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
And can you tell us what CCC is?
Oh, it's the Community Coordinating Committee, which
you know I can't.
It's the chamber's committee for all the nonprofit organizations in the community. So anyway, when this job was posted, I just really felt like, wow, this is a great opportunity to use, you know, my small business skills and experience, my nonprofit experience, and having, you know, owned my own business. I felt like, you know, I had a lot of good insight on what it would take for small business to be successful and stuff. So yeah, it just felt like a really great fit. And then I was glad that the hiring committee felt the same way.
Yeah.
And that was 3 years ago?
Yep. I officially started April 1st of 2021.
2021. Okay, so yeah, a year before Megan joined HDSA then.
Yeah.
That actually made me think when you were talking about seeing the job posting for the chamber, that there was a job posting for HDSA in like 2019. Did you see that one? Because I feel like that would have been a similar fit.
I don't remember seeing that, but I did know that in late 19 or very early 20, probably late 19, I knew that Pam, the previous director of the chamber, was talking about retiring. And I just remember thinking at the time, like I was at that time pretty committed, still down in California with a lot of projects going on. And so I was like, oh, that would be a really cool job, but I'm just not at the place.
Right.
And then they asked her to stay on, you know, through COVID and keep the chamber going. I don't remember seeing something like that for HDSA. I wonder if I'd been in a position, I probably would have applied for that. Yeah.
Because you would have been a great fit.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason, right? Like the timing of everything just happened to work out that you were able to do that
for sure
in Northern California. And now you're able to do this. And now we have Megan and Nancy.
Well,
and what
you know,
a pair.
Right. That's really true. I think if that opportunity had been presented to me and I had, you know, had that role, I wouldn't have done with HDSA what you've done. My experience with HDSA was that it was a very event focused organization. And as we know, that is definitely a piece of it, but it's not the whole piece. And
Right.
you've really taken that to its full, you know, potential.
Ensure that we're not just an event planning
Yeah.
organization.
I mean, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
It was a team effort
Yeah.
with our fellow board members.
Yeah.
So speaking of chambers, can you help us understand what is a chamber? What's the Chamber of Commerce? And then maybe if you'd like to define what the Snohomish Chamber of Commerce is.
Yeah. So chambers are nonprofit organizations that support small business and they support community.
Mhm.
Our specific mission is that we support the community through economic development. We feel like a strong, healthy business community, a thriving business community makes for a strong community all the way around. So we focus on supporting our businesses and supporting our nonprofits, helping them, you know, build partnerships with each other. And then also supporting the community and our partners and just showing up in the community. I think it's been really rewarding for us to do things like the Kids Vendor Day program and work with the high school with some of their workforce development, you know, showing our commitment to not just the present, but the future, you know, as well.
Making sure you have that pipeline of people who are interested in being entrepreneurs and knowing how to run businesses.
Yeah, I think, of course, it's beneficial for, you know, our business owners and our future business owners to, you know, develop the workforce. It shows our desire to invest in our kids as well. And that, you know, we see our role as an opportunity and a commitment, you know, to more than just right now, today.
Yeah. I love that you guys do that. Would you share a little bit more about the Kids Vendor Day? Because it's such a cool program. And I haven't really seen, at least in the area that I've paid attention to, any business development groups doing something like that.
Yeah. So the farmers market, Snohomish Farmers Market, which, you know, is an incredible, thriving market, has done a Kids Vendor Day at the market for quite a few years. So Sarah, the director, and I, and Mara, who's the owner of the Little Books of Big Business and Success Street Coaching, started just kind of talking about how could we take that program and just take it to the next level, you know, just give kids a little bit of education around that. So we, along with Jessica, who is the founder of BLOS, Business Ladies of Society, created a program where they come to the chamber where we meet. We don't, not our office, but we don't have an office, but to the church where we meet. And they had 2 education days. So they learned about product ideation. And you can think of a project or a product, but is somebody actually going to buy it? Is there really a market for it? And then, you know, once you have a product, how much is it really going to cost you? How much is your time going to be invested in it? And what are you going to really sell it for? So, you know, Mara really worked with the kids on that. And we talked about other things, you know, the marketing aspect and how to set up a display, how to handle cash, how to talk to people you don't know, what to expect when you go to the market, what should you bring and stuff like that. So we had 2 education days, and then the kids came to the chamber meeting and they got to practice selling.
That was so great.
We got really great feedback on that from the parents, that when they actually got to the market days, they were so much better prepared because they'd been through it. They knew if their like displays were too wobbly, or they knew if, you know, they weren't bringing enough variety of product, or, you know, if one product was more interesting to people than another. So anyway, so then they had an opportunity to sell at the market. And yeah, it was really great. First year we did it, we had 18 kids in the program. And then this last year we had 35 kids finish the program. So
that's almost double.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Wow.
Really
One
cool.
thing
You're
that-
100.
Yeah. I really appreciated one of my children participated, and I actually loved that this happened. So they participated, went to the first education day, and then realized this is a lot more work than I thought. I just wanted to make stuff and sell it.
Yeah.
You know, and they also realized I didn't really have enough passion behind what I came up with to want to put in the work.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fantastic that
Right.
it worked out that way. Because it is like, that's how you learn business. Because the idea of it is, oh yeah, I love these things. I'm going to make them. Or look, I can make this thing. And I'm going to turn my hobby into a business. And there's so much more that goes into it.
Yeah.
So I actually really appreciated that they dropped out. Because I'm like, that's also the function of it too.
Right.
You know, that you learn what's really involved in business.
Right. And I really think that's the bigger picture, is that this is an opportunity for these kids to try something.
Yeah.
And whether or not they ever become an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's not as much about that, is
Yeah.
that they tried something they'd never done before.
Mhm.
They learned something about themselves.
Yeah.
They had, a measure of success. We had one gal this year who, after the first education day, she came with an idea and then went home and thought about it. And
Mhm.
then when she came back to the second one, she had a completely different project
Ah.
or product. She was like, I just didn't think that was really going to
Yeah.
be a sellable thing. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's really great,
Yeah.
And so I just feel like we're just, putting little seeds of confidence in these kids. And the next time they want to try something new, whether it's an instrument, a
Mhm.
sport, anything, they'll just have that little seed of confidence of having
Yeah.
tried something before. And I just highly commend and applaud the parents because it was an investment of time,
For sure.
and resources for these parents. And I think that also just, builds confidence and in these kids that somebody
Mm-hmm.
was willing to invest in them.
Totally.
And it's such good skills that are transferable,
Yeah.
even outside of the business aspect,
yeah.
right? Just recognizing these things when you're
Yeah.
out in the world, learning how to talk to other people.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel like I
huge.
still need that.
Yeah.
It's like maybe I should become a kid vendor because all of those skills sound really great and
Yeah.
something that anyone at any age could use that experience.
Yeah.
As you're describing it, what comes to mind is like my friends and I are big crafters.
Mhm.
And many, many times in the past, 10 years, we're always like, every time we go into a store, we're like, we can make this at home. We should make this a business.
Yeah.
And like we try to sit down and it's exactly like you said, Megan. It's either we don't have enough invested in it that we're willing to
Yeah.
sacrifice other aspects of our lives
Right.
to dedicate to this quote unquote business, and having a venue to discover that or to discover that skill
Yeah.
of going through the phases so that 10 years from now, if they do have another idea, they know what to do. I think that's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I want to sign up for that.
yeah. So we're actually meeting here in another week or so. We start planning for next year. So
Wow.
yeah, we've got some big plans. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone get your kids ready next year.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
exactly. Yeah.
And granted, I've only been part of HDSA for the last couple of years and been in Snohomish since 2019.
Mhm.
But I felt like I hear about the chamber so much ever since
Aw.
you became the executive director. And I think part of it is probably social media and the other efforts that you have put in. But it's like every other day I see on Instagram is mostly where I follow you, a new business
Yeah.
will join. So how has it been like the growth and when you came into the job, like what were the expectations?
Yeah.
Where did you want to take the chamber?
Yeah. So I never, worked for a chamber, right?
Mhm.
You basically got my last 10 years of work history.
That's Nancy's resume.
Yeah. So, there's both kind of like a little bit of apprehension and also freedom
Mhm.
in never having done the work, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, well, I'm just going to jump in and do what seems natural. And so, we're coming out of COVID. Like I said, I started in April. So our April, May, and June meetings were still on Zoom. People
Mm.
were still a little bit apprehensive about meeting. And so we were having about 15 or 20 people show up on Zoom. And
Oh,
we had some,
wow.
interesting speakers. Republic Services gave a really fascinating presentation on recycling. And
Oh,
really fascinating. And I'm sitting there thinking, we've got like 15 people on the Zoom call or whatever. And I'm like, it's just unfortunate that more people aren't,
right.
So after multiple conversations, we decided July we were going to
Mhm.
have our first post-COVID in-person meeting. And we had about 45 people come to that meeting. And, kind of pre-COVID, I think it was hovering at about 25 or
Oh,
so,
wow.
30, pre-COVID. So
Sorry to interrupt you. Do you
Yeah.
remember what your membership level was around that time?
we had about 140-ish members.
Okay.
Yeah. So me being me again, and not ever having like run a meeting, I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm doing. So I like bring these beach balls and we do this like beach ball activity, beach balls, and people are running and stuff. I was like, people are hungry
Yeah.
to reconnect.
Especially at that point in time, right? After being
Yeah.
so cooped
for
up.
so long.
Yeah.
And so, we just kind of went from there. And I just started thinking like, okay, what can we do? Like, how can we start just like, creating a buzz for our members,
Mhm.
for them. Right. And so then that's when I'm going to start an Instagram and I'm just going to start sharing to our stories
Mhm.
what.
Oh, I didn't realize that you started the Instagram.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
you.
And that really took off, and in fact, people tell me this all the time, but just recently, yesterday, the day before, somebody said, I really appreciate the Chamber's Instagram stories because it's like, it's like a great way just to kind of see what all these businesses are doing. And so I love that it's kind of a resource like that. We just kind of just started, doing that. And I just started meeting with members and, talking to them and just asking them, what do you want to see? What do you want? And I would say, it takes time for things to build. And one thing that we do really well is that we're a very welcoming, group. And I was really committed to that. Of course, there's lots of other chambers in the area. And so I was going to be very open. I'm very open, sharing what we do. And I was just going to assume goodwill from everybody. And it truly has been. I know all the surrounding chamber directors and everybody's really collaborative. And I love that. And a lot of our members belong to multiple. So it only makes sense, that you're going to all be friends and, we're all doing the same work. So then, as we kind of moved along, we just kind of started thinking about like, okay, I went through 1 year and I have to say, Pam, the previous director, she like walked me through the first year. The first 6 months, I probably talked to her on the phone every single day for an hour or more. Just,
It's nice that you had that sort of collaboration.
Oh, yeah. She was incredible and just explained every step of everything, like the car show, wine festival. There's a lot of moving parts, and you can see it on paper. She had great, lists
like SOPs.
Yeah. Thank you. So I went through and kind of did everything, as it had been done, and then started to be like, okay, how are we going to do this different? What can we do different? What can we add? And that excitement for the chamber, came back from, pre-COVID or whatever, and just grew and build. Then you just see it's just become this like, energy of its own, right? People are talking, they're sharing, they're telling people about it. And it's just grown and, just recently hit over 300 members.
So awesome.
300.
Yeah.
So
Isn't
that's
that great?
doubled in size in the 3-ish years that you've been there. Wow. And whenever I see the Instagram stories, not just, I do use it as a reference a lot of like, oh, I'm looking for a contractor. Let's see who Nancy has
I love that.
posted about.
I love that.
But also every time I see you guys' meetings and your luncheons and your activities, it's always so packed.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's packed.
it is so packed.
Lately.
Yeah. It's exciting. Yeah. We're averaging about 115 people at our member meetings.
Events. So that's like almost a 50% like attendance rate compared
I know, right?
to...
Well, we do have quite a few guests, but yes, I mean, it's a pretty high percentage of our members that are attending, and that's really exciting. And when you've been there, the energy and people are excited to talk to each other, and there's always somebody new to meet. And I just love that. I think that's my most favorite thing, when you see two people connecting and then later I see that they've, done some project together or they're using each other's services.
Right.
It's like that's what this is about.
Yeah. Yeah. The chamber, I really appreciate what you were talking about, how welcoming it is. Like, I'm an introvert. And when I came to the first meeting that the previous executive director in my role took me to, I came and she was like, this is really great. Like if you need sponsors or something. And she was just very like all over the place. And I was like, okay, a sponsor. Like, what do we need sponsors for? I had no reference for anything, And so the first one, I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what I'm here for. Apparently it's for sponsors. Like it didn't make any sense. But within like a half an hour of being there, I was like, okay, I understand what this is. Like I was able to meet people. They were very welcoming. People were excited that HDSA was there, which was nice and helpful for me.
Yeah.
Because I had some context. But I appreciated the format of the meeting. I understood by the time it was over exactly what your mission is and what you were trying to do and how that works, the networking piece and the supporting other businesses within these meetings. And I think that's actually really hard to accomplish. Like it might seem easy or like it's something like, well, obviously, but there's so much work that goes behind that and intention that goes behind that. And I think you've done such a great job.
Well, thank you.
Creating that environment and that culture. Culture is the thing. That is hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah. People ask a lot, like, how are you doing it? And I just say, I'm just being me, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm excited to meet people. I'm excited to introduce people to each other. And I truly am collaborative. I truly want the best for every person. And I just always go at every interaction assuming that's what that person wants to.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that the enthusiasm of all the members, it's just catching, you know, that it's contagious.
They catch it from you.
Thank you.
We do. Yeah. And we've talked about that before. I feel like in season 1, volume 1, I was using the wrong words. That was like a huge theme is when people get aligned to what they believe in and who they truly are is when their business or whatever position they're in really starts to flourish. And I think that's so true, you know, like what you're saying, that that's who you are. And you're bringing that intention to the chamber, and it's catching on with everybody else too.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, thank you.
and I would say too, the chamber is the word synonymous
I don't know. What's the rest of the sentence?
with your name?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
You
know.
are using it properly.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
use the wrong words sometimes. And I just think that's such a great testament to your work.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Speaking of work, let's talk a little bit about, I think you and I have shared this with each other. Explain the work that goes behind this. Like, if you want to get into the nitty gritty, and then also, like, what do people not know about the executive
Behind the
director?
scenes
Mm.
of
Like,
Snohomish Chamber.
what would you say is like, nobody would ever understand this is part of the job, you know?
A lot of nights awake
Mhm.
thinking about, you know, what's the best way to accomplish this goal? What's the best way to bring value to the members? And just there's a lot of details,
Yeah.
you know, putting on an event, like for example, our wine festival, an event that's going to have, you know, 800 plus guests.
Mhm.
It has 30 wine, cider, you know, spirits vendors. It's got a food vendor. It's, you know, we've got sponsors, we've got booths, you know, just, you know, volunteers. Like juggling something like that is a lot of details.
Yeah.
It's a lot of moving pieces. And it's always so rewarding when people show up and they say they had a great time and everything looked so seamless and smooth. But, you know, as you know, event planning is very detailed. And we're so lucky to have Jackie as our operations coordinator. She is just such a detail oriented and a processes person. You know, she definitely complements me in that the skills I don't have, she has. I think people probably don't know how much behind the scenes data management,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of follow up, phone calls, emails.
I think one thing I've observed in both Megan and probably the same with you, Nancy, especially in these roles where you are, you know, a big part of the organization. They have in the chamber, they have 2 employees, and it's you and Jackie and Megan now too. So everything is kind of on you guys, a big part of the responsibility, right? So it's not one of those jobs that you can turn off your brain completely about it. Even just being a board member and a chair for an event, I feel like I think about it all the time. So I cannot imagine for you guys, like it is not only your job, but even when you're trying not to think about it, you're probably thinking about it, right?
I think that's true because you get an email and, you know, some emails can wait, but some can't, right? I mean, as I've said to you, we talk about this, there's no chamber emergencies, but there are, you
I
know,
quote that all the time.
Yes, she really does.
But there are, you know, situations where a member has a specific question or a concern or something, and you want to address that in a timely way, you know, and so sometimes that's an email on a Saturday or something, just a quick email off or whatever. So also, and I would imagine you experience this as well, when you live in the community that you serve, you interact with people and you know, things come up like conversations that are business related or you see something and you're like, oh, that sparks something. And you're like, oh, I got to write that down right now or I'm going to forget about it. So yeah, it's not like, you know, you just close up at 5 o'clock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When Megan and I hang out, we have to like make sure if we want to do just a hangout,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, let's try our best to not talk about HDSA.
Yeah. We
yeah.
do it sometimes.
Yeah.
But as a good example, there was one day we were like, let's go shopping on First Street.
Oh, yeah.
Just to go shopping.
Yeah.
Let's just go into the shops without it being for work.
Yeah.
But that day was the soft opening for Peaches. And we didn't know they were going to be there. So then we were like, bam, HDSA hat. Because it was like, oh my gosh, welcome. And did you know about our wine walks?
Oh,
Like-
that's so great.
And then as soon as we left, we're like, okay, no more.
No
no more
more.
HDSA.
Yeah.
We're back to shopping mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I can ever shut it off completely. Even if I'm intentionally trying to, I don't know that I can as a person do that.
Yeah.
And I actually wonder if that is maybe more people experience it than just entrepreneurs and small business owners. But you and I also share that. Do you think that we're just bound to be like that no matter what?
No matter what job you're in,
yes,
you mean?
like if you care enough.
Yeah.
That's what it is for me. If I care enough about my job, I'm interested enough in my job,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it matters if it's in my own community, if it's a nonprofit, small business, whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's just who I am. And I think
so.
a lot of us end up in nonprofit and small business. Do you think that's true?
I can see that. Yeah. Because, other jobs I've had, I've been similarly, invested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Invested.
For
that's the
sure. When
word.
I had my, my business,
Yeah.
it was nonstop.
I think the hard part is with you guys, though, you need to make that boundary, right? It's not like there's someone else, like a boss on top of you to be like, no,
Yeah.
you're not going to do this now. Or like with my work, I can close my laptop and I can put my work phone away. And the expectation is that, no, I'm not going to be available, at 8 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's more functions that help you really set that boundary maybe easier. Because like I think about work even after I, clock off, but am I gonna take the time to open my laptop again, log back in, go through the entire thing to do this one thing where I think with you guys, it might be a bit more accessible.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you also hit the nail on the head on the opposite side where you were saying you don't have a boss to and
Right.
we have a boss, like a collective boss. We have board presidents and the board, but we don't have, like, I'm not going to ask you or Ken to be like, can you go do this? I'm not going to do that. Right. So, and just as like if you had a boss who ultimately would be responsible if you dropped the ball and didn't get something done or you didn't have time, that it's their job. We don't have that.
Right.
So
That's true.
it's kind of like you could let it go, but I think you and I both are kind of like, but I can't.
Yeah.
It needs to get done.
Yeah, well, that's true. And also, there's parts of the job and different times, different parts that are really exciting and interesting
That
and you're
want.
excited about. And so like when you close the laptop and you're like, okay, I'm not gonna like do follow-up emails for this event I have coming up, or I'm not gonna, work on the budget for this or whatever. It's like, then your mind is free to like start the creative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it's like, oh, that's fun to think about,
And it's more ideas about work.
Exactly. In fact, I'd gone to CCC Community Coordinating Committee last week or whatever, and I'm sitting next to Greg Osborne from the fire department. And I just started going like, we need to have like a, battle of the badges, right? That's what Anne Ray called it. Fire department versus the police department, a softball game. Wouldn't that be so fun?
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah. And just, it's like then my mind starts just going, and then we could have nonprofits. They could have their little booths there. So it's like there's always like so many great ideas and, things to be thinking about and possibilities.
So speaking of possibilities, what are some things that are coming up for the chamber?
Yeah. We have our car show, the classic car display coming up at the end of September 29th. I saw something from a couple years ago that said it was the 40th. So that must mean we're in the 42nd.
Oh, it's as old as me.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So it's fun to listen to, Pam, the previous director, and Ray Cook, who's been involved forever in the show, talk about, those first years when it was, just a few cars. And it was tied to the Historical Society, I think, doing a house tour. And so they would, the women would come to Snohomish to do
Go on
that.
a homes tour. Oh, that's cute.
And then the men look at the car.
Yeah, and then the men would come in their cars. That's kind of how the whole thing, I guess, got started. Anyway, so we have that coming up. Super excited about that, and excited to be partnering with HDSA on the sidewalk sale.
Yeah.
For that. So that'll be a fun addition. So let me just say, I want to give a little shout out to Gilpin Realty, who is our presenting sponsor for the car display. They have been for several years, and we're just so grateful for their and then our other sponsors' support as well. And then a brand new event in November called The Big Give for our nonprofit members. And this came out of multiple requests that we get every year to support the different events, fundraising events that our nonprofits do. And we would love to be able to support all of them. We just, we can't. And we wouldn't ever want it to look like we were supporting one over the other. So we came up with this event where all of our nonprofit members will have the opportunity to participate in the Big Give, which will be a big community event out at Craven Farm. And we'll have, visit with Santa, and we'll have a hot cocoa bar, and there'll be music and photo booth. And then all of our nonprofits will be able to like set up a table and have just, free activities for kids. And then we'll partner them with a business sponsor that'll help them get raffle items and really envisioning this like a themed, like if you're a horse related nonprofit, maybe you would do like horse themed
right.
things or whatever. Yeah. And then people will be able to buy raffle tickets and put them in the buckets of all the different things they want to win. And then the nonprofits will retain the money from the raffle tickets for their items. So they'll have the opportunity to, show the community who they are and what they do and earn a little money. And I think it'll be a fun event for families. Craven is always so beautiful at the holidays. And so I'm really excited for this event. And
That's great.
Lamb and Company is our presenting sponsor for this.
Nice.
And we're very grateful for that.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, it feels very Hallmarky, which, as you know, like that's my goal.
Well, I gotta say, so I gotta make sure I say this in front of both of you.
Please don't say Stars Hollow.
So Trent and I had a couple of friends come into town. This is their first time in the Snohomish area, and we took them out to dinner, and then we went to Froyo. We went to Ken's place for dessert, and we took our cups. Not the real silverware, the compostable silverware.
You weren't stealing this
I
time.
was not stealing Ken's silverware. And we were walking them through downtown. It was probably like 6, 7 o'clock. So a lot of the stores were already closed, but the weather was beautiful. And then we walked down the riverside, and out of their mouths, without us prompting them, they were like, "Oh, it's very like Hallmark-esque." And I was like, "Yes." It's like we didn't even have to plant the seed on it. And I think a big part of that is because of the work that you guys do, right? In creating the community, the feel, the vibe, the energy, and fostering it in everybody else too, so that we do present as this very hometown, very, you just want to cuddle up, with a cup of hot cocoa type of town.
Yeah.
And that's because of the work that you guys do.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I think
And you, Sheila.
Yes. Snohomish is very welcoming. It's a very welcoming community. And I think the downtown, especially just, the buildings and the feel, it just makes people nostalgic, even if it's for something they never had. It just kind of evokes this nostalgia. So I think we're lucky to have that. And, we've got, of course, great other shops and restaurants and businesses all throughout the community. So I think, we're a really unique and special community when you think of, we've got this historic piece. We've got, other, up like towards Snohomish Station. So we've got all the things that, other things that people need.
Yep.
We're surrounded by this incredible agricultural, land. We've got this beautiful river that, I mean, it's just, we even have a little airport. Like it's like really the best of all things. And it'd be really interesting, to plot the whole from the air, like, every, chamber business, every, just see. Yeah. We really are. It's pretty spread out.
Yeah. And I love that because especially working with HDSA, right? I'm downtown pretty intimately with a lot of the business owners here, but I get to know everyone outside of the historic district through what you guys do at the chamber, and you guys having event at, the wine festival is at Thomas. Yeah. And then you doing this thing at Craven. Yeah. Like it does bring you and pull you out of this district. And it's always fun to discover new things and to learn about new people and just, like you said, 300 members. Like there is so much going on in Snohomish.
Truly. Well, I went to there was like an art gallery opening out at Burkhead.
Oh yeah.
It's so beautiful out there. And, you just see all these people from all these different, different things that you're involved in. It's like, oh, it's so cool. Just, wherever you go, there's all this connectedness.
Right. Yeah. We actually take our dogs to the vet that's right next to Burkhead Art Center.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a vet out there.
Horse and small animal vet, cool. And they do our dogs chiropractor and acupuncture because they are spoiled
fancy
with back problems.
Can I be one of your dogs?
Yeah, right. That's great.
But they're so great, and they come to the farmers market, and I love all of their stuff.
Oh yeah,
I have like 3 of their pots.
So talented. Yeah.
So you kind of shared a little bit with us about what is kind of going on right now. What are sort of your goals, longer term goals?
Yeah.
What do you want to do next at the chamber?
Yeah. So with the board, and I just want to say we, have a great board. I really appreciate their investment in the chamber and using their skills and knowledge and experience to to benefit the chamber is just an incredible blessing. As we're thinking about 2025, just thinking how can we better serve our members and provide more education, resources that can help them grow their businesses. I don't know if we should share that HDSA and the city and chamber are kind of talking about potentially putting on a pitch event,
Yeah.
which would be really exciting. It would be maybe a 6 or 8 week class where businesses, either existing or people that just have a business idea, could come and just get some business.
It's the grown-up version of the kids' mentors.
Yeah, exactly.
What I was asking for.
Get some knowledge, get some, insight, maybe have, some roundtables where they can just talk to people or, some other business, successful business owners that could mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And then, have it kind of culminate with a pitch event where they could, pitch their business idea or maybe a business expansion idea and maybe win some money toward that.
You should make it like Shark Tank-ish.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, me, I'm always about an event. So I'm thinking, it could be, fun and
we can put a theme to it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So so that's something definitely thinking about. And the chamber is working on creating a 501c3 foundation in addition to, we're as a chamber, we're a C6.
Oh.
So this would be an additional piece. And through this, the foundation, we, could do fundraising or, write for grants that we could use toward, maybe workforce development or, other programs that could benefit our members. So we're excited to see what we can do with that. So hope to have that complete by the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot of money and resources and support and sponsorship to put on all of those things that you guys do, especially your events are like huge.
Yeah. And it's a trend in chambers all across the country to just to be, kind of rethinking. Events have their place, but, chambers need to be more than events. And, I think we're doing a good job of providing value to our members in the meetings, good, information and the opportunity to network and stuff. But, there's always more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good to evaluate what's going on in your own community too.
Exactly.
Because if we didn't have a lot of, people patronizing our businesses and we didn't have a lot of tourism and we, had vacancies in a lot of the areas of our city, then yes, events, right? Because that brings people, which creates the demand. But we're kind of at this place now where we've got plenty of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And it's like you said earlier, what's the best use of time or what's the best reward for the chamber? What's the best reward for your members? The return on your investment is not just money.
Right.
It's value of time and like where your time is being spent too.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting to see what other chambers are doing. And that makes me wonder, is this just because we have this in the area in general? Because I guess when I see what other chambers and groups are doing, I mean here, right? Snohomish County. So there's events everywhere. Like we do have a lot of that, which is fantastic. And it's kind of like, where do you find the balance where you maintain it so that you keep that vibrancy in your communities, but that you're also opening up the bandwidth to do the other things that create resiliency for your businesses,
Well, I think nonprofit organizations have really seen the benefit of events and how fundraising events can really have a significant impact, and that's great. And so as more events come online, right, like chambers are going to have to pivot just because, we want our nonprofits to do well. We want those businesses to be partnering with those nonprofits where it makes sense for them. And so, okay, well, we don't want to compete with that, right? Like we want them to be successful. So that's a good impetus for us to think about, pivoting anyway. And like we talked about, what really is the best return on my time, Jackie's time in terms of our members, right? So it's a balance, definitely we, need some fundraising.
Yeah.
But so we just have a really great finance team that's helping me really evaluate our budget and just looking at how we do things and how we can, better serve. So
That's
I'm
great.
excited. Yeah, I'm excited for next year.
Well, you've done some really awesome things.
Thank you.
We're excited to see what you do next.
Thank you.
And we're going to ask you a tough question. This is going to be hard for Nancy.
Oh, gosh.
So we always close the podcast with a question of, describe your perfect day in Snohomish.
Would that be work or otherwise?
It can be whatever you want.
I would say my perfect day in Snohomish would be a balance of getting some things done. I tend to be very much a list maker, very productive kind of focus. So getting some things done, whether that's around the house or some work things done and running some errands because you're always running into people and that's fun, And then, probably hitting one of my favorite restaurants or coffee shops and taking a walk. I think especially at this time of year, the weather,
right?
Those sunny but kind of coolish, not today so much, but coolish afternoons. That's just my favorite time. So I think just taking the opportunity to just enjoy what we have here in Snohomish, and maybe hitting a shop or two, or I actually really love to just go for a drive out, like out Three Lakes. And it's just so beautiful. So, yeah.
We're so lucky.
We are.
Yeah.
Truly.
And we're lucky to have you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Well, feel the same way about HDSA and just really grateful for what you've done. You've, taken a great organization to the next level.
So have you.
Oh, thank you.
We've been power partners.
Yes, we are.
And sometimes shoulders to cry on.
Yeah.
I always answer when Nancy calls.
Oh. There's no such thing as a chamber HDSA emergency.
No.
But
there's therapy sessions.
Yeah. That's so true. So true. Oh, I love it.
Thank you so much for taking the time and this afternoon to chat with us. I feel like I learned so much about you, and like Megan was saying, cannot wait to see what else you guys have up your sleeves.
Thank you.
Seeing where we can go to continue progressing our community.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, Nancy.
Yeah.
Snohomish Storytellers, brought to you by the Historic Downtown Snohomish Association, produced by Red Trucks.